Over the years, there's been so many conversations happening around XRP's speculative value of hitting $100 per coin. Now, I've talked about this on multiple occasions. I personally believe that there is a world where XRP can hit $100 per coin. Now, how long will we have to wait for that? Well, that's unknown, and nobody's going to know exactly when it's going to happen. But I will say this, we know what valuation XRP would need to hit that dollar amount. It would need a $10 trillion market cap. Now, to a lot of people, once they hear $10 trillion market cap, they immediately say, absolutely no way. There's just no way that XRP can hit a $10 trillion market cap. Now, I would say to anyone that thinks that the market cap is the problem, I would argue that it's not the market cap that's the issue. It's the integration and utilization of XRP properly, which is the issue. That's what we're waiting for. If XRP is utilized the way that we have been studying, researching, and in the documents is outlined, right? If XRP is utilized that way, then I don't believe that XRP would have an issue hitting a $100 price target. And the reason why I say that is because think about some of these markets that crypto is targeting. The FX market, over $8 trillion per day is moved through the FX market. You think about asset classes moving on chain. Real estate by itself is over $300 trillion. Like, I don't think that a $10 trillion valuation is that crazy to think of. Let's take, for example, gold and silver. Because recently gold and silver went on a massive tear. Gold hit well over a $36 trillion market cap. Silver alone has over a $6 trillion market cap. Now, today, if XRP hit $100 right this instant, it would have roughly a $6 trillion market cap. I think that it would be a little bit less than silver's market cap currently. So when we think about this, it starts to look a little bit more possible. But again, does XRP at this very moment have as much utilization than silver? And the answer is no. Because again, XRP is not completely integrated and being utilized at scale the way that silver is utilized. Because again, silver does have a ton of utility tied back to it. It is utilized every single day. But that's what makes some of these assets worth the, market cap that they have. It's the same way that we look at companies like Nvidia or Google or Apple or Microsoft. Like, they're worth these valuations because of the company's performance, the sales, things like that. But then we think about XRP. And what would make XRP worth the valuation of a $10 trillion market cap? Well, would it be freeing up trapped capital? Would it be changing the way that money moves around the world? Would it be revolutionizing the on-chain FX market? Like that, those types of use cases, I would argue, would allow XRP to hit a $10 trillion market cap. So yes, I do believe that XRP could hit a $100, price tag. Just going off of some of the companies here, like Nvidia, Google, Apple, Microsoft, like we would have anywhere between like a $53 to $77 XRP. That is 100% possible. The issue here, though, isn't the possibility. It's the time that it would take for XRP to hit these valuations. But I'm in the camp of David Schwartz, who is, of course, Ripple's previous CTO. He said that XRP can't be dirt cheap. He said this back in 2017. That doesn't make any sense. If XRP costs $1, they'd need a million XRP, which would cost $1 million. If XRP costs $1 million, they would need one XRP, which would again cost $1 million. Essentially, the argument here is that higher prices make payments cheaper. It improves liquidity. He even said here that when Bitcoins were $300, it would move the market too much and be too expensive to be practical to buy a house, for an example. So higher prices make payments cheaper. So the overall value argument here for XRP is, XRP is essentially a neutral bridge currency. It's there to settle anything of value, any two things of value. If XRP is to be utilized at scale and have proper, liquidity to, move massive amounts of money, like trillions per day, XRP's value would have to be significantly higher. I bring this up because we're starting to see this use case become a reality. I've been talking about on-chain FX for a while. This is the year where we start to see non-USD stablecoins take off, in my opinion. And if that is the case, then we think about the value proposition here for XRP. And again, David Schwartz said back in the summer, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure XRP's use as a bridge in Ripple payments dwarfs every other asset. I think stablecoins win for collateral use cases. Volatile collateral is annoying. And edge use cases, volatility at the on and off ramps, is also annoying. For almost everything else, I still think digital assets work better. Unless you're risk adverse, you'd probably prefer to hold most top tier digital assets over cash. I also think that more use of the XRP ledger for real financial use cases will translate to more utility and value for XRP. XRP has a privileged place on the XRP ledger and is not as likely to get worked around as, say, Ethereum has been. So the main focus here is that, more use of the underlying ledger itself will unlock even more utility, which then also unlocks more value for XRP. Guys, the focus here is that we are starting to see institutional DeFi become a reality. We're starting to see on-chain FX become a reality. We're starting to see more and more asset classes moving on-chain. This is not, this isn't really going against the argument of a $100 XRP. It's reinforcing the argument of a $100 XRP. Now, why am I bringing all of this up? Well, because we just got a big update on X. Big shout out to Bank XRP for this. We have David Schwartz provides a clear explanation of why XRP's current price reflects the market's rational assessment of probabilities. Price discovery in assets like XRP incorporates all available information on risk and potential outcomes. Continued focus on the XRP ledger's core utility in payments and asset exchanges remains key. So we go over here to a question that came up on the 28th, and it was from bird_XRP ledger. Hey, Joel Katz, was it you, Jet, or Arthur who came up with the drop as the name for the smallest unit of XRP? Would love to know the history so I can document it accurately on the project website. Now we do have here that I don't recall for sure, but I think that it was Arthur. Now we have this argument, or I shouldn't say argument, this conversation continue on where we have, I refuse to believe that every last bit of genius associated with XRP wasn't you. The difference between what I have and what Arthur has is that I have the same kind of intelligence everyone else has, just more of it and more than Arthur has. But Arthur has something other people simply don't have. It's a different kind of thing entirely. And we have here that, can you give an example involving Ripple and or XRP in the past where what he has is demonstrated? And we have here the idea for a DEX was his. The idea of using pathfinding to allow payments to incrementally draw from multiple liquidity sources was his. Now, we also go over here. This is from Panosmec. And we have, I always loved the original vision of the XRP ledger, creating a global exchange where you could hold and trade anything of value. Arthur Brito here says the obvious. The XRP ledger, greater than XRP, it's all about the network and the quality of the ecosystem. From quality assets to great apps that make all these possible and invisible to the end users. Both XRP and the XRP ledger should be the hidden plumbing of the real world economy, consumer and institutional finance. Conclusion, start using the XRP ledger, start interacting with it, don't focus on XRP. Now we also have here that the value of XRP is less important than the spread. Can you please elaborate? Less important to whom? Sure, if I buy one XRP worth $10 and I use it to earn a profit on spreads, I care about the immediate profit I am making, not about XRP gaining value, but that does not mean the price is not important for people who bought earlier or even to the person using it to make immediate profit. Unless he means that at some point everybody will just know XRP will not go up in value and therefore the only thing anyone would care about is using it to profit from spreads. But that can happen with an XRP at $10 or even at $1,000. No way to know today, right? So what exactly does he mean with the price is less important than the spread? Now, David Schwartz did answer, and he said what he means is that if you don't care about XRP at all, and are just trying to say convert dollars to euros, then whether you would use XRP as a bridge currency will depend much more on the liquidity of XRP than on its current price. Now we also have someone responding saying that tell everyone that XRP can't go to $50 to $100. So many people get poor with investing in XRP. Essentially, this is just, somebody that's anti-XRP. We have, I don't feel comfortable saying something like that. While I don't think it's likely, I didn't think it was likely that XRP would ever hit 25 cents. I started selling XRP at 10 cents because it seemed insane. I remember when Bitcoin hitting $100 seemed like an impossible dream. But I will say this. If many rational people believe that there was a 10% chance that XRP would hit $100 within a few years, they definitely wouldn't sell very much today at much less than $10. Those with that belief would quickly buy up most of the XRP because they'd value it more highly than those without that belief. And soon the supply of XRP well below $10 would dry up. That the current trading price is well below $10 shows that there aren't very many people who really think it has a 10% chance of hitting $100 within a few years with enough confidence to put their money where their mouth is. So anyone who says otherwise is not telling the truth. You can do that same math yourself for different prices, percentages, and timeframes. My personal belief is that most cryptocurrency prices are in fact rational most of the time and actually reflect a reasonable analysis of their potential future prices and the probabilities associated with them. I also personally believe that most significant crypto bull runs were due to unpredictable external changes. So again, the main focus here is that if an influencer is telling you, hey, XRP can hit $100, or if they're so confident in a date, okay, this is the problem with, price predictions. Like, for an example, I do believe that XRP could hit $100. It's the number one reason why I hold a significant amount of XRP. Also, for anyone that does like XRP or support XRP or wants to accumulate XRP for the long term, I really do think that weekly or monthly buy orders in an amount that you could afford to lose is definitely a very good idea. And the reason why is because it doesn't allow you, to have to be looking at the market every single day or every single week, and just, accumulate for the long term. There's also, platforms like I Trust Capital that have a Roth IRA tied to it where you could just hold your XRP in a tax advantaged account. But regardless of that, like the main thing that I'm looking at here with XRP is like, I really don't feel comfortable selling a large portion of it at $10. Like, I think that if XRP can hit $10, any value above $10 is easily achievable. It's just the same thing as Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin, nobody would have thought that Bitcoin would have hit, $1 when it first launched, or $10, or even $100. It's the number one reason why people were buying pizzas with Bitcoin, or, sending out Bitcoin for free. Like, this is the main thing that we look at when it comes back to this market. Like today, yeah, XRP at $100 seems ridiculous. XRP at $50 seems ridiculous. XRP even at $10, for some people seems ridiculous. But I look at what's really happening here. Like, I think about the overall end goal of crypto. And if we're thinking about crypto becoming the replacement for this, new financial system, like I love this argument from Panos here where, yeah, this would essentially be the hidden plumbing of the real world economy. If this does happen, which I personally think it's happening right now, like I think that crypto is becoming that hidden, pipeline, if you will, that everything will move over. And the reason why I say that is because of all of the big players like the, Swift, the DTCC, BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, big banks, the IMF, the World Bank, like they all are telling you like, hey, money is changing in a digital way. It's the number one reason why we have, stablecoin initiatives happening. Like I look at this and it's aligned perfectly with this whole idea of like, this is the hidden plumbing of the real world economy. If that is the case, the underlying network sees tremendous amount of growth and demand, which would also then, create value for XRP, and it would cause the value of XRP to go up. Now, like I said, I do believe that XRP could hit $100. The reason why is because of, this idea that yes, crypto is the future financial system, but how long will it take for that to happen? And that question, nobody's going to know the answer to. But I will say this, people that buy certain assets, people that buy gold and silver, they are not looking at it as a, quick flip. They're not buying gold and silver on Monday to flip it by Friday. Yes, sure, there's definitely traders out there. There's a lot of people that probably do that. But I'm talking about people that are long-term committed to holding these types of assets. they're holding them to hedge against, something coming, or they're holding them because they believe that at some point in time, there's going to be a major crisis where gold and silver, become a major backing to the economy again. I look at XRP the same way. Like, I look at XRP as like, if we're thinking about this new financial system becoming a reality, I'm holding XRP as a hedge that, yes, a neutral bridge currency that has tremendous amount of liquidity that could be the center of all of it. I believe that XRP could be a perfect hedge for that. But also, even if XRP isn't just the chosen one, where XRP is the only bridge currency, which I don't think is going to be the case, I still think that utility assets like XRP will become vital and crucial in this new world of finance, which would also therefore cause the value of XRP to go up tremendously. Like, we're looking at these valuations here, like $100 billion in market cap or $500 billion in market cap. Like, it's insane to think about these market caps when we look at companies like Nvidia or Google or Apple having these market caps. These companies are also moving on chain. They're adopting digital, asset technology. They're looking at tokenizing. They're looking at automation. Guess what? AI automation needs blockchain. Blockchain smart contracts limit the reach of AI. It allows for control of AI. Like, when we think about what's really going on here, I look at the valuations of these companies and I'm like, they're already looking at crypto. They're already tapping into the crypto space. And the market cap of crypto is not even we're talking about the entire market cap of crypto, 2.82 trillion. That's not even near some of the market cap valuations of like Nvidia or Google. Like, these companies are worth more than the entire market cap of crypto. So yes, if the future is digital currencies and tokenization is going to be adopted the way that we are looking at, and stablecoin initiatives are going to continue to, go crazy, and fiat currencies are moving on chain in an on-chain FX like moment, I honestly think that the value here, that use case for XRP as a bridge asset in Ripple payments, or just a bridge asset in general, with stablecoin initiatives and all this stuff, the value of XRP has to be significantly higher. And there's a lot of people that are, on the fence here. Even David Schwartz is saying, like, listen, I didn't think that it was likely that XRP would even hit 25 cents. So imagine what he thought when XRP was trading at almost, $4. It's the same song and dance. A lot of people are in that same camp where they're like, $100 seems, unreasonable. Like, it just doesn't seem possible. But again, $100 per Bitcoin didn't seem possible. $1,000 per Ethereum didn't seem possible. With the world that we are headed in, it's extremely challenging to make an argument against any sort of price prediction, because we just simply don't know what next year is going to look like, or the year after that, or the year after that. We just know that everything is moving on chain. We know that's the case because every big player told us so far in the last year that they are moving on chain. They're actively pursuing tokenization, stablecoin initiatives, digital payments, etc. XRP's use case is being reinforced by all of this. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video.